"Oh, who are you?" He said, "Well, I'm not going to give you my name." He says, "But basically, I work for my mother, who's runs an investigation, is in charge of investigations in the chiropractic field, and I'm a licensed chiropractor, and I go in and I work as an investigator, and I've been investigating Clayton P. Silver's offices, and I've been working in his Chula Vista office." And he's, in other words, 100%, I'm sure it's not 100%, but what he's saying is until the chiropractors know how to conduct these frauds themselves, he goes in there and personally rewrites this. As a matter of fact, if you go back to those documents that were rewritten, I had asked Clayton chiropractor Schockschneider on the stand, were these in his writing, and he said yes. And you know what? I'll bet those were Silver's writing. I bet he's the one that actually altered the documents. But we're talking about. I can show you. I got a file drawer here full of the billings, and you could go back and connect with those patients probably now and find out that they didn't get any of the treatments that he was billing these insurance companies for. I also tried to connect with one of the insurance companies for the Nicholson. I think it was State Farm or something. And I met him at a restaurant, showed him my stuff. They're not going to do anything about it because the higher the level of in the courts, it's the higher the level of injustice, the more attorneys they can feed upon us. And in the insurance companies, it's the higher the level of injustice, the more money the public is intimidated to spend on insurance for protection from the injustice of the courts. So racketeering against the public is what this is about, and I am saying there's a conflict of interest for attorneys in their dresses trying matters of what level of extortion should be applied to force me and the rest of the public to refill the troughs from which they are feeding their kind until such times as our courts are made courts of records as they were intended. That record was not intended for their keeping, it was intended for our keep, so that we would have a record of what was done to us. And doing it like this is just total bullshit. The expense is bullshit. We need to bring the record keeping up to today's technology, and I want cameras in the court before I'm going to show up in any of these bullshit courts. They're going to be of record, and they better have a camera in there and a means of providing me a DVD at any time during the proceeding for my review. And until we do, and that will put a complete stop, pretty damn complete stop to this bullshit. I mean, except for all the people that are going to, pay out to these extortion attempts by these thieves. And as to you attorneys who feel insulted about this, hey, you don't want to feel insulted? Do something about it. You know what's going on. I have met so many attorneys at these yard sales that have gone through law school, don't even want the license. Don't even want the license because of this stuff going on. In other words, they went through law school, started out with, the law, went through law school, found out how absolutely crooked it is, being taught it right in the law schools, and just said, hey, I don't even want a license. I'll do some kind of a practice where I have nothing to do with that sort of thing. Or they limit their practices to non-injury because, these sheep all want an opportunity to rape somebody else, and the attorneys are more than happy to co-venture some fraud against somebody else. And I'll tell you something else. To claim an injury is worse than it is extortion, and in that it's being done on such a regular basis, it is racketeering. And this thing of not allowing a person to countersue within a trial for fraud and present evidence of a fraud and be able to get a decision in the trial where he is a defendant for the fraud being attempted against him, and is ludicrous, and having to present any evidence you have of a fraud being conducted against you before you go into court, so that the attorney can just go, well, I better try the fraud on somebody else. This guy's caught me, before he has to go into court, and where a citizen has an opportunity to document on the record that these fucking thieves that are doing so under the being pushed to do it by the protection the court is giving frauds, the aidings and abettings, and the representing of parties who are conducting these frauds, as was done in this even in this Nicholson thing. It's got to come to a stop today. In other words, I'm saying the courts, conflict of interest in the insurance, for them to decide what level of whether or not I should have insurance, or whether or not I agree I should have insurance. Okay, but I'm saying, hey, there's a bigger problem than us not having insurance, and that is the problem of the courts driving up the costs of the insurance by engaging in this racketeering against our insurance companies, so that there's a conflict of interest for them to then sit there and tell us and fine us for not refilling the troughs from which they're feeding their public fucking kind. And you want to talk about contempt of court? I'm telling you, those people who have usurped the positions in our courts, who are openly violating all our rights under the Constitution and Bill of Rights. And by the way, I don't need the Bill of Rights and the Constitution to tell me what's wrong with with these courts. Okay? And I ain't no fucking sheep that you're going to bend over and fuck again. So this court is recused from addressing the insurance policies, and I will grant the court's authority to hold hearings when they can no longer argue on behalf of people, if you're going to be brought into a court, a small claims court even, that all papers, everybody get timely notice and a copy of any allegations that are going to be brought in the court. This thing of having attorneys write, prepare, or they're not going to sign it. They're going to make it look like this was put in by, all these lies, like, Mr. Brandler was telling me how big his dick is, and she alleges that this girl that I've helped raise, that since I was 18, that I'm complaining that I don't have sex with. I mean, the allegations that this woman brought up were, believe me, directed by her attorney. This person was a close friend of mine up until this thing, and then this attorney went, well, here's what you got to say if you want to, get revenge on this guy. This bullshit has got to cease.